What's up, guys and gals? Your host with the most, Griever, as always, bringing you guys the latest chapter review for Jujustu Kaisen, chapter 172, and end of the fight. I'm pretty sure we can all conclude there is a small chance that Reggie's alive, or that Megumi's just gonna walk away and not kill him. There's a potential there. There's a possibility. But I don't see it happening. The only thing I could potentially see happening here at the end of the chapter is, and the beginning of chapter 173, assuming we don't jump away from the conclusion of this fight. Most people are calling this the conclusion of the fight. Maybe Reggie's got one more move up his sleeve sort of idea. I don't think so. But I could see Fushiguro basically saying, alright, I can kill you right now, or you can give me all your points. It's up to you. Now, I think that even if that becomes an option, I think that Reggie's basically going to go, yeah, no, basically, fuck you. He's going to give him the finger and then, because he knows that he wants the points. He already showed his hand in that way, and Reggie's going to be like, nah, why would I make things easier for you? And maybe he's going to do a suicide thing. I could see it. He could, take a receipt, use the last of his cursed energy, throw a car onto himself or something, right? There's always potential for that. But overall, I think this concludes the end of the fight. And I thought the fight was good. I think the dynamic of the fight was pretty good. Reggie was definitely an interesting character, dressed like an absolute tool. But definitely Reggie's been an interesting character for the most part. We're going to have to jump back to our Mr. Comedian himself soon. I think we're going to jump back to that. I don't think we're going to jump away to anything super interesting in the next chapter, or even the next two chapters. I think what we're going to do is wrap up what's going on with Reggie and the comedian and Fushiguro. I don't think we're going to see Yuta or Hikari or anybody in the next couple of chapters right yet. Maybe by the end of chapter 174 we'll jump over and we'll see Hikari struggling against somebody or something. You know what I mean? Maybe something like that for foreshadowing for the next chapter. But overall, this chapter itself and the fight was entertaining. It was pretty good. Fushiguro always seems to fight these uphill battles, but it's always nice to see that he is no slouch. He's definitely a very strong character, strong powers and stuff. And as far as the fight dynamic itself goes, I thought it was incredibly interesting. I like the idea that we sort of found out that it's not the receipts can't get wet, it's that he can't light a flame with cursed energy sort of idea, so that's why he doesn't want to get wet. Not that his power won't work, but he can't light a flame. It's sort of weird, because I always thought, if you're lighting a flame with cursed energy, that doesn't really apply to, the standard laws. Oh, man, I can't get this, you're on a camping trip with your family, your friends, or whatever, and it's all you have is wet wood, so you have to use, gasoline or something to light the damn thing, or lighter fluid, right? You need something to light the wood or soak the wood, because the wood is soaked, you can't get a flame going, you can't do anything. The fact that cursed energy is apparently follows that same logic is kind of well, can't you just apply more cursed energy to burn the receipt? Can't you turn up the heat, so to speak? It's cursed energy. Couldn't you just keep cranking that dial if you wanted to? Sure, it might be okay, I use 50 points of mana out of 50,000. I've got a bar of 50,000 mana of cursed energy, and it only takes 50 of that usage to light the flame to use a receipt. 50 every time. Let's just say I'm just using arbitrary numbers. If the thing's wet, maybe it takes 200, right? And I need, oh man, this thing's really soaked. I need to, apply a lot more to use the same attack. But you can still do it, right? I would figure it would sort of work like that, where it's cursed energy. It's not exactly just taking out a Bic lighter and going, damn thing, can't get it to go. It's not one of those things, right? So, what do you guys think? But overall, the fight was pretty cool. I like the idea that Reggie fights like Fushiguro. It was nice to see another sorcerer sort of on the same wavelength as Fushiguro, sort of no, sorcerers, our idea is to lie. If they can't figure out our technique, then they don't know what's coming, They don't know what techniques we have, what moves we have the capability of doing. And in this chapter, we also answered a question that I brought up, and a lot of people brought up. I think Miss Content also brought this up, was, okay, receipts, what about title deeds to a house. I brought that one up right away. I was like, because I brought up, what about a contract? I think there was contracts I brought up, right? Like lawyers and contracts and stuff. What about a contract for, because we saw these other receipts and stuff, and I was like, well, if he can apply that, why couldn't he buy the sale of a house? It's technically a contract and an agreement, but it's also a receipt for purchase for, so I was like, what about a house? What about, and we saw he could already do this with vehicles in previous chapters, so I'm like, there's no real difference, right? So, and any type of contract, could he apply a contract to a living person, something like that, summon a dead person? Like, that's not answered here, but the end of the day, yes, he can have the title deed to a house or the purchase of sale of a house, and he can just, there's the house, right? So that's pretty dangerous. That's pretty deadly, I do like Reggie's technique. I like the idea of it. I like the creativity, and I like the fact that this fight was more about outwitting each other, because the end of the chapter is Reggie gets his ear bit off, and a good chunk of like this section, like his collarbone, neck, collarbone, shoulder area, like this whole section is just, and I think that's really cool because, it's pretty gruesome, but it's also pretty cool because when he does that, he's thinking about, okay, the 10 shadows. He's going to try to catch me by surprise. He's going to make me believe that this is a fist fight, but in fact, he's going to use a Shikigami once his guard is lower, blah, 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 and he's going through all this in his head, but he doesn't think he can use Divine Dog anymore, and that's when, of course, Fushiguro goes, ha, tricked you. I had Divine Dog, it wasn't so easily destroyed like you thought he was. And bam, the setup, the execution, Reggie even sort of a little nod of respect, being like, good sorcerer knows how to lie sort of idea, or something along those lines about a sorcerer's lies at the end of the chapter there while he's bleeding, like, profusely, right? So, for the most part, I would say this is the end of the fight. The fight was good, and as I already brought up at the beginning of the video, I think that Fushiguro will attempt to basically say, now I can torture you and blah, 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 or I can heal you up, or just leave you, and maybe you'll survive, maybe you won't, and give me your points and I won't, finish the job. I can see Reggie self-destructing, or suiciding, or whatever, something like that. I can see him doing that just to give a middle finger to Fushiguro, being a sore loser sort of idea. I think that's within the very limited amount of Reggie's character we've gotten so far, so that's a possibility. Something like that. Jujutsu Kaisen is certainly not all sunshine and rainbows. There's definitely darker elements. As the story has progressed, there's been very dark elements on the surface and beneath the surface, and I think this would suit it quite well, quite easily, that Fushiguro is the one trying. It's funny that Itadori managed to get the points and get the first rule change and everything that they needed, and Fushiguro's going about it with I'm not going to be a moral high ground like Yuji. I'm not going to do this thing like Yuji. I'm not going to try to be a shonen MC that nobody gets hurt. I'm going for the kill. I'm going to do whatever's necessary. And in the end of the day, he keeps being cock-blocked. At the end of the day, he keeps being blue-balled. He's got to, instead, he's committed to killing people if he has to, and he's been getting the least amount of points. So I could see this being a possibility that he commits suicide, and by that logic, I don't think Fushiguro would even get the 5 points, or the 10, is it 10 points? 5 points? Whatever. He wouldn't even get those points. So Reggie, he loses all of Reggie's points, and Reggie goes basically a double middle finger and kills himself, and I don't think Fushiguro would actually end up getting the points as a result, because he killed himself, right? So, yeah, I could see Reggie doing that. What do you guys think of that one? I think that would be a big, shoving it in Fushiguro's face. He's willing to do whatever it takes and willing to dirty his hands, and nothing is working out for him, right? Like everything, roadblock after roadblock, and everything that could go wrong does go wrong. He doesn't have it easy in any way, shape, or form. The one willing to do everything comes up against the most resistant people, sort of idea. So I think that would be an interesting way to do it. And now that I think about the fact that he wouldn't even get the points for killing Reggie, that would just piss him off even more. I really think that's what's going to happen next chapter. That's my prediction for chapter 173, alongside of my review for chapter 172, I guess. There wasn't really anything else to talk about in this chapter. They fight, Reggie loses. That's basically what happens, right? But what do you guys think of the chapter? What did you think of the review? Like, comment, subscribe. As always, it's always very much appreciated. Don't forget to drink responsibly as always, as I always do. And we will see you beautiful people back here again for chapter 173 of Jujutsu Kaisen. And when we get back to my boy Yuta, you guys know I'll be making just a 25-minute video that's going to take 24 and a half minutes of it just fangirling over Yuta being back in the chapter. And the other 30 seconds about whatever else, right? So definitely look forward to that when Yuta comes back, because Yuta will be back this year. I guarantee you Yuta will be back in a chapter this year. I can just feel it. I can see it. It's got to happen, right? It's got to happen. So 2022 going to be good for Jujutsu Kaisen and Yuta fanboys like myself. So anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you back here next time. Bye-bye.